A heated White House meeting erupted into chaos this week when FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino clashed with Attorney General Pam Bondi over the Jeffrey Epstein files, and now he's threatening to walk away. This is the biggest government crisis of 2025, and it's happening right now as we speak. The FBI's second-in-command hasn't been seen in his office since Wednesday. Sources tell us he's considering resignation after what one insider called, quote, a complete mess in the handling of the Epstein investigation. Tonight, we're breaking down exactly what happened in that explosive White House confrontation, why the MAGA base is calling for Pam Bondi's removal, and what this crisis means for the Trump administration moving forward. This story has everything: government infighting, leaked documents, and a political earthquake that's shaking Washington to its core. To understand this crisis, we need to go back to July 8, 2025. The Department of Justice released a two-page memo that contradicted months of promises from the Trump administration. The memo stated there was no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein maintained a client list and that no more files from the investigation would be made public. This wasn't just any memo. This was the conclusion of what the DOJ called an exhaustive review of all Epstein files in government possession. But here's where it gets explosive. Attorney General Pam Bondi had previously told Fox News in February that Epstein's client list was sitting on my desk right now to review. She had promised transparency. She had raised expectations across the conservative movement. According to CNN, the Justice Department's memo directly contradicted Bondi's own past statements and promises of transparency, touching off fury among many supporters of President Trump. The reaction was immediate and devastating. Far-right activist Laura Loomer called for Bondi's dismissal. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson argued on his podcast that Bondi is covering up crimes, very serious crimes by their own description. But the most shocking reaction came from inside the government itself. According to multiple verified sources, the crisis came to a head during a Wednesday meeting at the White House, which included Bongino, Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. What happened in that room has been described by sources as explosive. Bongino and Patel were confronted about whether they were behind a story that said the FBI wanted more information released but was ultimately stymied by the Department of Justice. According to a person who has spoken with Bongino, the deputy FBI director is out of control furious. The source told NBC News this destroyed his career. He's threatening to quit and torch Pam unless she's fired. Think about that for a moment. The second highest ranking official at the FBI is so angry that he's threatening to torch the Attorney General of the United States. Another source confirmed that Bongino did not report to work Friday amid speculation about his whereabouts, but the drama didn't end there. As of Monday morning, no one in leadership at the Justice Department had spoken to Bongino since Wednesday, when he implied that he could no longer continue in his position as long as Bondi was there. Analysis: this represents an unprecedented breakdown in communication between the FBI and the Department of Justice. In normal circumstances, these agencies work hand in hand. What we're seeing here is a complete fracture in the law enforcement leadership of this country. President Trump found himself in an impossible position. On Saturday, Trump defended Bondi on Truth Social, writing that she is doing a fantastic job, and criticized what he called selfish people trying to hurt his administration. But listen to what Trump wrote next. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. That phrase, "a guy who never dies," reveals Trump's frustration with the entire situation. CNN reported that Trump privately called some of the Attorney General's most vocal critics over the weekend in an effort to stem the bleeding over the Epstein files. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance spent the weekend attempting to mediate, at times fielding calls from Patel, Bongino, and Bondi. When asked by reporters Sunday whether Bongino was still the FBI's deputy director, Trump told reporters, "I think so," and indicated they had spoken. "I think so. I spoke to him today," the president said. Analysis: that response, "I think so," from the President of the United States about his own FBI deputy director shows just how chaotic this situation has become. This is not normal government operation. What makes this crisis particularly dangerous for the Trump administration is that the anger is coming from Trump's own most loyal supporters. Right-wing conspiracy theorists, many of whom are part of Trump's MAGA base, have long posited widely circulated conspiracy claims that Epstein was murdered because he possessed sexually compromising material on powerful figures. Trump ally and conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer wrote on X, "Pam Bondi is covering up child sex crimes that took place under her watch when she was Attorney General of Florida," adding that Bondi needs to be fired. Far-right influencer Jack Posobiec posted, "We were all told more was coming, that answers were out there and would be provided. Incredible how utterly mismanaged this Epstein mess has been." The DOJ tried to address some concerns by releasing video footage from the common area of the prison unit where Epstein was being held when he died, showing that from the time Epstein was locked in his cell at around 10:40 p.m. on August 9, 2019, until around 6:30 a.m. the next morning, nobody entered any of the tiers. But even this backfired. In the video, the time code jumps by 1 minute and 2 seconds just before midnight, further inflaming the conspiracy theorists' analysis. This is a perfect example of how government transparency efforts can backfire when not handled properly. Instead of calming concerns, the missing minute in the video has only fueled more conspiracy theories. So, where do things stand right now? As of this week, Bongino's long-term future as Deputy Director of the FBI appeared uncertain. Sources say his relationship with the White House has become basically untenable. Even if he does not quit now, some inside the administration believe he will not stay in the job long term. Trump is now hoping to tamp down the drama surrounding Bongino and limit the fallout from his administration's handling of the Epstein files. But the damage may already be done. According to CNN, many of President Donald Trump's close advisors, both inside and outside the White House, have grown increasingly frustrated with Bondi's handling of the Epstein files. One Trump administration official argued Bondi bungled the case from the start by overpromising potential bombshell findings. Analysis: this crisis represents more than just a personnel dispute. It reveals fundamental problems in how this administration handles sensitive information and manages expectations with its political base. The FBI and Department of Justice are supposed to operate as professional, nonpartisan institutions. When their leadership is engaged in public feuds over politically sensitive cases, it undermines public confidence in these crucial institutions. This drama is far from over. Dan Bongino has not made a final decision about resignation. Trump is working behind the scenes to manage the crisis. And the MAGA base continues to demand answers about the Epstein files. What we're witnessing is a test of the Trump administration's ability to manage its own internal conflicts while maintaining the trust of its political supporters. The next few days will be crucial. Will Bongino return to work? Will Trump take action to address his base's concerns? Will Pam Bondi survive this crisis? These are the questions that will determine whether this government crisis escalates further or finally begins to calm down. This is exactly the kind of breaking news analysis you need to stay informed about the real power struggles happening in Washington right now. Make sure to subscribe for more breaking political coverage and hit that notification bell so you never miss the latest developments in this ongoing crisis.